Part 2. Cynicism in World Process. 1. Physiognomic Main Text. Chapter 6. Concerning the Psychosomatics of the Zeitgeist. Quoting Stanley Kellerman. Your body speaks its mind. A philosophical physiognomy follows the idea of a second speechless language. This notion of a speechless language is as old as human communication, indeed even older, its roots going back into the pre-human and the pre-rational, into the sphere of animal sensing and orientation. Not only verbal usage has something to say to us, things too talk to those who know how to use their senses. The world is full of shapes, mimicry, faces. From all around us, the hints of forms, colours and atmospheres are received by our senses. In this physiognomic field, all the senses are tightly interwoven. Those who have been able to maintain their perceptual competence undamaged possess an effective antidote to the atrophy of the senses which we pay for progress in civilization. Our culture, which floods us with signs, educates us in the area of physiognomic knowledge to a state of dyslexia. Nevertheless, there exists an undercurrent in our cultural life in which a mentally alert and self-evident capacity to enter into the language of shapes has reproduced itself. Partly in the arts, partly in scattered traditions of knowledge about human nature in which, under various names, morals, the sorting of spirits, psychology, or the study of expressions, that other kind of perception of people and things is practiced. I'll say that again without the parentheses. Under various names, that other kind of perception of people and things is practiced. Whereas the process of civilization, whose core is constituted by the sciences, teaches us to distance ourselves from people and things so that we experience them as objects, physiognomic sense provides a key to all that which reveals our proximity to the environment. Its secret is intimacy, not distance. It dispenses not a matter of fact, but a convivial knowledge of things. It knows that everything has form, and that every form talks to us in multiple ways. The skin can hear. The ears have the capacity to see. The eyes can distinguish warm from cold. Physiognomic sense pays attention to the tensions in the forms and, as the neighbour of things, eavesdrops on their expressive whispering. Enlightenment, which strives for the reification and objectification, Verzachtlichung, of knowledge, reduces the world of the physiognomic to silence. The price of objectivity is the loss of closeness. Scientists lose the capacity to behave as neighbours of the world. They think in concepts of distance, not of friendship. They seek overviews, not neighbourly involvement. Over the centuries, modern science excluded everything that was incompatible with the a priori of objectifying distance and intellectual domination over the object. Intuition, empathy, esprit de finesse, aesthetics, erotics. All of this, however, a strong current has remained effective in genuine philosophy for ages. In it, to the present day, flows the warm current of a convivial intellectuality and a libidinous closeness to the world that compensates for the objectifying drive towards the domination of things. Something of the love of wisdom necessarily tinges the objects of this wisdom and moderates the coldness of purely objective knowledge. only a science that obliterates the last residues of philosophy in itself under the pretense of objectification cuts through even the last threads of neighbourly and intimate sense that has bound it to things. It loosens the bonds to the physiognomic and eradicates the traces of the esprit de finesse that necessarily remains subjective and incalculable. What is repressed cannot, of course, fail to return, and the irony of enlightenment tries to make such a return look like irrationalism, against which sworn enlighteners struggle with a vengeance. In the century-long dispute between rationalism and irrationalism, two complementary but one-sided views are putting each other on trial. As far as cynicism is concerned, our knowledge of it can initially be no other than one of intimacy. It was spoken about as though it was something atmospheric, a moral psychological pulsation permeating our civilization. Well, I have not yet met anyone who did not show signs of intuitive connivance as soon as this phenomenon was brought into the conversation. With this word, memories of situations, moods, experiences are evoked. It is as if a definite feeling towards life looked in the mirror as soon as the concept is placed insistently enough, as means of reflection before our consciousness. Cynicism is one of the categories in which modern unhappy consciousness looks itself in the eyes. We have the cynical Zeitgeist, and that specific taste of a fragmented, overcomplicated, demoralizing world situation in our bones, our nerves, our eyes, and in the corners of our mouths. In everything that is really contemporary, the cynical and the cynical elements become noticeable as part of our bodily physical and intellectual physiognomy. The Zeitgeist has left its mark on us, and whoever wants to decipher it is faced with the task of working on the psychosomatics of cynicism. This is what an integrating philosophy demands of itself. It is called integrating because it does not let itself be seduced by the attraction of the great problems, but instead initially finds its themes in the trivial, in everyday life, in the so-called unimportant, in those things that otherwise are not worth speaking about, in petty details. Whoever wants to, can, in such a change of perspective, already recognise the cynical impulse for which the lowbrow themes are not too low.